Welcome to Combat Zone 360, where we discuss everything military. Today on our show, we have our local Staten Island Air Force recruiter, Tech Sergeant Manshaem. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just, stepped in the door from the pouring rain and glad to be inside with you today.
Good. Well, what I like to do to start off every show is I love to have my guests explain a little bit about where they came from. I want you to be able to get on the level of our, viewers here, and they can see that you guys are the same as everybody else out here in the community. So if you could start off by letting us know where you lived, where you grew up, where you went to school, any hobbies you had, that would be great.
Okay, yeah. A few things about me is I'm originally from Michigan, Grand Rapids area, born and raised. Went to high school, of course, Rockford, Michigan, and played soccer. I wrestled, a few different sports. Okay. Mainly soccer was the main sport. And then, graduated, went to community college for mechanical engineering, and then switched kind of into business for about 2.5 years, and then the Air Force hit me. I got a wife, Brittany. I met her in the Air Force, and I got a 5-year-old daughter named Skyly. And one more on the way.
Oh, wow.
And we live in the local area over in the New Dorp area.
Okay, so your hands are about to be full with that newborn.
Going to be very full, yep.
So with you being up in Detroit, right, Michigan area? Or what part of
other side, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so if you do the mitt, right,
yep.
Over here.
Okay, perfect. So Michigan, right?
Michigan.
So with you coming from Michigan, I know you played soccer, I know you wrestled. Did you play any football or anything like that?
I should have played football. I should have been a kicker.
Yeah?
The team, high school team won a few state championships, so I would have a few rings. But, my love was in soccer, and it still is. So,
yeah.
So it's, I enjoy watching football.
Nice. And you did a couple years in college.
I did about 2.5 years.
What made you transfer into the Air Force?
So that's a great question. I still kind of ask myself, kind of have to reflect a little bit. Like a lot of people, right? College is the next step after high school.
Yes.
It's kind of ingrained into your brain, even more so now, I would say. So I didn't really have a plan. I liked engineering. Mm-hmm. I went to community college in Grand Rapids and worked full-time, school full-time, and my grades started dropping off, right? Started going down a slope, and I kind of was like, I need a different direction in my life, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a buddy that I went to high school with similar interests. He played soccer with me, and he was in the Air Force for about a year. Okay. We kind of just connected and talked, and I was like, maybe there's something to this. So that's when I kind of looked into it, and I was sold.
Yeah,
and here I am.
So you don't regret dropping out of college and doing that? You're finishing it up now, or have you already finished?
Working on my 3rd degree.
Nice.
So great thing about the Air Force is they're very educated, education driven. Mm-hmm. Whether you like it or not, is day one you start BMT, you're enrolled in the community college of the Air Force. So
that's good.
It's a good benefit.
Yeah, that's good. You always want to get that college degree.
Right.
Now, when you went into the Air Force, what type of job did you want to do in the Air Force, and where did your path take you in the Air Force?
Okay, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know anything about the Air Force when I stepped in day one. Part of my job and part of what the recruiter did for me was kind of get to know me, right? Kind of know what I'm like, what I like to do, what I might like to do in the Air Force. And then they guided me towards a job that I knew nothing about. So I'm originally a munition systems technology troop.
And what's that?
I work right. I work with ammo. I work with things that blow up. Specifically, the AIM-120 missile system. So that's what I specialize on. But there's in the career field, we call it an AFSC, Air Force Specialty Code, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of like the MOS for Army. They work with anything, bullets, bombs, missiles, anything that goes on an airplane or in a special ops unit's hands or grenades that blows up, and that's what we specialize in.
So you were all about taking numbers and making sure everybody got their ammunition to go do their job.
So that was my job, to make sure the spec ops teams had their weapons loaded, mm-hmm. and the planes were loaded for whatever missions they had to do as well.
Wow. That's interesting.
Right.
How many years have you been in for?
I've been in almost 10 years. Halfway to retirement, halfway
That's
to my pension, but I love it just like I did day one.
Nice. And where have you been while you've been in the military?
Okay, so I've actually moved around quite a bit compared to, a normal Air Force member. I started out, Lackland Air Force Base, BMT like everybody else. I went to Shepherd, which is just Wichita Falls, northern Texas.
Okay.
8 weeks of training after my 8 weeks of basic training. And then I went to Panama City, Tyndall Air Force Base. Great base, loved it, right on the beach.
Those are always good.
Yeah, I mean, my dorms, I literally had a beach right out the door that I could go to after work.
Wow.
So that was amazing, but I had been there a few times, so it was familiar, and I wanted to see the world. That was one of the reasons I joined. Was I wanted to travel. So I was like, Florida's great, but I need to go somewhere overseas. I need to go. So I went and I applied for overseas. I went to South Korea, Osan.
Okay.
It was a year tour there. Amazing country. Great travel opportunity, and I got to see the DMZ and everything else as well. From there, I went to Italy for 3 years, just north of Venice, Aviano Air Base. It's an amazing experience. I lived within the community, had mountains out my front window, and wineries all around me, so can't complain.
No.
And then I went to New Mexico for 3 years. That's why I was part of a Spec Ops unit, and then now I'm here in New York. So I've moved quite a bit.
Definitely. And you've had everything from a beach in your front yard to mountains.
Right.
Perfect
Yeah.
views.
A little bit of everything and culture, and I've seen more than that. That's just where I was primarily stationed. So
I'm a little jealous.
hey.
The biggest culture I got outside of the United States, well, while I was stationed in the United States, was Hawaii. Dealing with the Asian community over there, the
I haven't
culture
been
over there.
but that's on the bucket list.
Beautiful. There's a lot of beach there. But
Yes.
you've had the beach at your front yard.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
So when you decided to go Air Force, I'm sure you're an intelligent gentleman. I'm sure you've talked to all the branches before you made that decision.
Right.
So what did you learn that was different from the Air Force compared to everybody else?
So, one of the things I preach is information, right? Get your information to make the best decision. Everybody's different. Everyone has their own, what they want to do in life, where they want to go, and what type of person they are. So, the Army, the Marines, being infantry, didn't really interest me. I didn't have a lot of military presence in my family or where I grew up. So I wanted to learn a skill, something, that mechanical, right?
Yeah.
Work with my hands. And so my primary focus was mainly on the Navy and the Air Force, and I didn't know anything about it, so I learned about it. Navy didn't really turn me on, just simply because of the fact they're on a boat for 6 months, most of them. So that just kind of got crossed off the list, and then I went in and talked to the Air Force. They sold me on all the great jobs they have, and they promised me I could work with my hands and learn a skill, and there I was. So
nice. Now, how did the job decision go for you on how to find that job, how to find that path? Were you able to get the job that you specifically wanted, or how does it work with the Air Force?
So this question always comes up.
Yes.
So how it kind of works is it all starts with the qualifications process, right? So I could want to be an air traffic controller, but there's special tests. You have to have very high ASVAB scores, the aptitude tests to get into the military. So that it all starts with the qualifications, your ASVAB tests, and also your physical. So, if you don't have good eyes, you have good ears, that all factors in as well. And then once you have your qualifications pieced together, and then you kind of get a sheet of everything you're qualified for. Well, there's like 250 jobs in the Air Force, right?
Yeah.
And munition systems technology was my job. I didn't know what that meant. So I needed somebody to guide me, right? That's where the recruiter came in, where they kind of got to know me, what my interests were, and then I made a list with them with their assistance. So my munitions was actually my fifth job.
Okay.
Crew chief was number 1. Nuke tech was number 2. Armament 3, and I forget what 4 was, but my 5th option is what I ended up getting, and it worked out perfectly because I love it. Not every job is guaranteed in the Air Force. I know all the jobs kind of work differently in the different branches. The Air Force only hires, for a certain amount of jobs every month, and if it's not available, then you're not able to get it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really good jobs that you can get. That's why you make that list.
Okay. Now, this is a question that I dealt with a lot in the Army as a recruiter. When you sit down with somebody and they are looking at jobs, after their first enlistment, are they able to look at switching over to other jobs?
Definitely. So, obviously the best answer is that we put you in the job that fits you. And you hopefully, even if you don't know you're going to like it, you will. But there are opportunities to cross-train at different marks, depending on if you do a 4-year enlistment or a 6-year enlistment. At that point, you would either retake the ASVAB or you can pull your old scores if you qualify for it. It also depends on what the Air Force needs at that specific time.
Okay.
But the opportunity definitely exists. There's also other opportunities for for me, for example, I did munitions for 7 years. I was it wasn't another AFSC, another technical job, but it was quality assurance. So it was kind of like a step up within my career field, doing something totally different. And then now I'm a recruiter. So all different types of jobs that if you work hard, doors open for you.
No, and I understand that because for us to become, a lot of people were able to get away with this, but they want to do the career advancement as in when you become a senior non-commissioned officer or before you become a senior non-commissioned officer, which, E7 or above, they want you to hold either a drill sergeant position or a recruiting position or for us, a ranger instructor position, something to deal with that type of aspect to show that you can do the training aspect of it, the paperwork aspect of it, and everything rolled up into one. Is it the same like that for you guys, or do you guys?
It's a little different. Obviously, recruiting for me, right, for just my instance, it helps my career because I'm exposed to a different element. I learn different tools.
Okay.
So we all always talk about a well-rounded airman. So you have to be really good at your job. That's the number one focus, is your skill. What the Air Force spends a lot of money and time training you on your job. So that's the main focus while you're in those earlier E1 through E4, E5, even up into E6, you're a technical expert. The managerial position is all tied into that. So you do step up, but it's within your own career field. You don't necessarily have to step out and become a recruiter. We don't have a drill sergeant per se. We do have, MTIs and NTIs and basic training that are conducting, training for initial training. So that's something you can step into, but it's not necessary.
Gotcha. And now I know that you're very busy. You're one person that covers the Staten Island, the Brooklyn area.
Right.
A lot of people try to contact you.
Exactly.
A lot of people usually, because you're not in the office a lot, you're doing a lot of traveling to communicate with people, to talk to people, to see how you can help them in their future.
Exactly.
So when they call you, I realized this because when I called you, I got a text message asking me to really pre-qual myself before you called me. So I texted, no, that's okay. That's okay. You have a standard, and that's good. So I texted you who I was, what I was trying to do, and you reached back to me. And, what could these applicants that are trying to join the Air Force expect when they are trying to contact you and while they're sitting with you in the office and their process into the Air Force? Okay,
great question. I am one man, right? Yes. I cover Staten Island. I was covering part of Brooklyn. We actually just got a new recruiter over in the Flatbush area. But it's New York City. If you need to get a hold of another recruiter, that's fine. We'll work it out. But I am one man. I travel to high schools. I'm on the road, back and forth over to the Military Entrance Processing Station over in Fort Hamilton. So I try to be, as time efficient as possible. And so the text message you received, I was either on the road or I was talking to another applicant. So what I try to do is I send a pre-qualification sheet, just has your basic information, and it has some of the law violations, physical standards that you have to meet, all the the basic stuff of, so we're not wasting each other's time before we even sit down and meet each other to make sure you're qualified.
Exactly.
So that's sent out to you, because when I'm sitting with an appointment with an applicant, I like to focus squarely on them, getting to know them. I don't like distractions.
I like to call it the red carpet treatment.
Exactly.
I expect that done to me, so I would do it to somebody else.
Right.
Definitely.
That focus is there. So it's all about saving them time, so they're not out trying to get documents from here and documents from there. We can just kind of do it all in one setting.
There you go. That's a smart way to do it. Now, I know when they go to basic training, is that what you guys call it in the Air Force? Or
BMT, basic training.
BMT, okay. Yeah. So when they do that, what type of physical attributes do they need before they go?
So we're a little bit different than the other branches, right? I see the Marines outside my door doing pull-ups all day. You have to be physically fit in the Air Force. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Not to the same standards. However, it's a lifestyle that you will develop if you don't already. So set standards coming in, I don't expect you to be at any. That's why basic training exists. Now, there is a body weight limit that you have to meet per your height. But I have a delayed entry program, so after you are qualified and you're waiting to leave to go to basic training, we meet and we work out every couple of weeks, but most of it's on the applicant themselves to get ready for BMT. However, when they're in basic training, they're working out 6 days a week. And then at the end of basic training, they have a few evaluations throughout it. They have a final test, and that's where they need to meet the standard.
Okay. So when they go to BMT, they don't have to pass any test before they go there.
No, sir.
It's up to the drill instructors, or what do you guys call them?
So TIs, yeah.
TIs,
yeah.
Okay. It's up to them to get them where they need to be able to graduate and move on to be an airman in the Air Force.
Exactly. I try to prep them as much as possible. They have all the information. Technology is great nowadays. It's all on their phone.
Exactly.
Of what the standards are. It's about a 12-minute run for a male. 45 push-ups, 50 sit-ups is what they need to be at the end of BMT. However, it's mostly on them. The more prepared they are, the better they're going to do.
Nice. And what type of benefits do the Air Force have? I know I've talked to other branches on the show, and we've talked about the basic college, the basic health insurance, the dental insurance, stuff like that. What does the Air Force have that stands out from everybody else?
So the education bit, I know, not to harp on that, but I'm able to use that all the time. I'm able to go to class. But I would say just over the overall quality of life, living standards, if you come in without a dependent, without a spouse or a kid or anything like that, you're in the dorms in any branch. But at your 3-year mark, or if you put on senior airman, year 4, you can move out and you can get your own place.
Wow.
You get housing allowance.
Yeah, see,
I know
with
the other branches, it's a little bit later.
Yeah.
I know that's a good benefit to have. You get your own housing allowance, food money, everything else. But I'd say that just overall quality of life is what sticks out to me. But
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of jokes being in the Army talking about, the Air Force goes to the field and stays in 4-star hotels, and we know it's not true, but we love, talking between branches.
I had one training, down in Florida. We stayed on Okaloosa Island, and it was a nice hotel.
So it was true.
Yeah, it was a nice hotel right on the beach.
Nice.
But they're not all like that.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. They treat your family. It's an Air Force family, so it's a good thing.
with me traveling from base to base and, city to city, state to state, I've seen how the Air Force lives, and they do have a better quality of living. At least I know better than the Army. I think with the Army, they find the worst place in that state, and that's where they put us. For example, in Hawaii, we're on the northwestern part of the island, which is not nice.
No.
It's Schofield Barracks. It's not a nice place.
I haven't been there, but yeah. Hawaii,
Yeah.
You're saying there's a bad part of Hawaii?
There is,
Wow.
believe it or not.
Wow.
You drive down the road, you have the pineapple fields out there, and when
Okay.
it's not pineapple season and things are like ready to be picked and stuff like it stinks over there because of them ripening and everything. But then the Marines have Kaneohe Bay, which is actually on an island off of Oahu, which is a small island attached to it by a bridge.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then you guys have Pearl Harbor, and then the Air Force has Hickam. And everybody has better living than we do.
We put the Air Force puts a lot of money into their facilities, their bases. The gyms are phenomenal. Was in Alaska for training. They have like a whole indoor soccer, football field, turf, with a track around it.
Wow.
The child development centers, you name it. The Air Force spends a lot of money on taking care of not just you, but your family as well.
That's awesome.
So it's great.
That is amazing. So what in BMT, what is a typical day in BMT like?
BMT is a lot different than the daily life operational Air Force.
If you can explain both of them, that'd be great.
Yeah, so BMT has been a minute for me, right? It's been almost 10 years, but I still remember vividly a few moments. The first few weeks, they call it shock and awe because it's change. You're going from your normal civilian life and you're thrown into the mix with people, TIs yelling at you, telling you to pick something up, put it down for no reason. And, you're stressed out all day because that's the environment they need to put you through to make sure when it's time later on to make a critical decision that you're going to make the right decision. So it's all for a reason, but it's 50 different bodies in a dormitory with TIs yelling at them. You're doing physical fitness 6 days a week, which I'd venture to guess most people aren't, coming in. And so it's just a lot of change. And then throughout BMT, they ease off of you a little bit. You really start to come into your own and taking pride in your uniform a little bit more because you know how to polish your shoes and wear it correctly and march correctly. So when you go to graduate at the end of it, you're a polished airman and you're ready for the Air Force.
Nice.
And then you said operational, right?
Yes. After you're done with all your training and you go back out and to do your actual job,
right?
What's a typical day in the Air Force?
So let me bridge that with the technical training real quick. So BMT, as soon as you're done with BMT, you graduate. You see mom and dad or whoever comes to your graduation, and they're proud of you. You go right to technical training. It's kind of like college. You're in dorms, but you go to class, 8 to 4. You have some physical training, within there, and then the rest of the time is yours. But they start to kind of let that leash out a little bit and give you more responsibility, and to live life, right?
Yeah.
You're not in that BMT phase the whole time.
Exactly.
So like tech school was 8 weeks for me. Some are up to a year. But the longer they are, the more leash they give you. And then operational wise, we do physical training, but not nearly as often. It's really dependent on the mission. So like not every base, it's on the person to do it themselves.
Oh wow.
To take care, like I said, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then, so you show up, so like I'll use my maintenance experience, right? Because every job's a little bit different. Most of them are like 9 to 5, but I would show up at 7 a.m. I'd have my 8-hour shift. Most maintenance jobs are broken down 24 hours, not 7 days a week, but 5 days a week, and you're just running 24 hours, so you have 3 shifts. Call it day shift, swing shift, and mid shift.
Nice.
And so you work your 8-hour shift, go home to your family, or do whatever you want.
That's good.
It's pretty good life.
And that's what I tell. It's like a 9 to 5 job. Once you're done, you go to the movies. You can go do whatever you want. You can go play video games.
A lot of people have the misconception that you're stuck in the barracks, stuck on base.
Exactly.
You're in uniform all day. No, you're you're part of the community. You're part of, you're a civilian basically. Now you still have to, you're wearing, the Air Force name with you, but yeah, I'd go play soccer. I'd go to the beach. You do what you want. Go to school.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I know with every branch, every job in the civilian world, every job in the military world, wherever you go, we all deal with the good and the bad. I would love to know your best experience in the Air Force, and after that, your worst experience in the Air Force.
So best experience is a little bit easier, right?
Okay.
I would say my best experience was in Italy. Just being there, the job I had, I worked with AIM-120s, just missiles. I loved my job. I loved the NATO mission. And then as soon as I got out of work, this isn't an exact experience per se, but it was every day. I could hop on the road in 45 minutes. I was in Venice and I could have, dinner.
Wow.
Whenever. So just that experience, I would have never thought, you told 18-year-old me that you were going to be having dinner in Venice on, a Thursday night, that it would be true.
Exactly.
And it's, they're not paying, the Air Force isn't paying for dinner, but they're paying me to do a job in Italy. And after I'm done with my job, I can go do what I want.
That's good.
So it was a good experience. Bad experience. So bad experience, man. So I've been pretty lucky of where I've been stationed. I've enjoyed all my jobs.
Good leaders.
Yeah, man, this is a little bit trickier. Yeah, I've had great leaders. Really good leaders that have directed me in the right way in life. I hate to use like BMT, as a. I remember. So I was talking about that shock and awe.
Yep.
And this is just vivid in my brain right now. I remember going into the chow hall because you're all, it's formation, and you're going in. And I sat down, I got up, and I was going to stand in formation because that's what happens when you go out of the chow hall after you get done eating. You go back to stand in formation, and I was standing there, and no one else is coming out. And 5-10 minutes go by, and I'm like, man, something's not right. So I start marching around the other side of the building, and I get stopped by a couple TIs, and they're blasting me from either side, and I found my formation soon after that.
Very soon after
that. This was early. I was still in civilian clothes at this point too. So that was a bad day in the Air Force. Wow. But that was BMT. It only gets better from there.
Exactly. I tell everybody that level of training. Don't take anything personal.
No.
It's all about them setting you up for success to be able to function within the branch that you are in.
Right. They were trying to break you down and instill discipline and confidence because you come out the other end with confidence.
Exactly. And that's the best thing I liked about the military. They teach you a lot of trades, a lot of factors. I mean, discipline, responsibility, flexibility. They prep you for the civilian world after you decide to do your term and get out, or to do your 20 years and retire. Yes. Well, I would love to thank you for coming on the show, and I would love to ask you back, bring some future airmen in the future. We'll get Master Sergeant Guzman on here, who is in charge of you.
Right.
And, just continue this discussion about the Air Force.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. It's been great. Really, it's just about getting the information out there so everyone can make a great decision. So really quick, how can they get a hold of you if they wanted to get a hold of you? So my phone number, text, email is great. You want me my phone number?
Definitely.
716-570-2133. Okay. My name is Keaton Manshaem, and information will be posted. And just get a hold of me, and I'll get back to you.
And are you guys on Facebook or anything?
Yep, you can Google me. I have a Google page. We do have a New York City Facebook page.
Nice.
So you can get a hold of us. If you're not in the Staten Island area or Brooklyn, you can get a hold of a recruiter. Get a hold of any of us, and we'll get you in touch with the right person.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you, and we'll definitely get you back on the show.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you guys for viewing in. I appreciate everything you guys do. And until next time, make sure you thank a veteran.